Welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Peter and Chelsea from Him and Her Music, where we continue our deep dive into how you can collaborate and work with your wedding musicians to get the very best experience in the lead up and on the day itself for you, for your fiancé, and for your future memories too. If you joined us for part 1, which was published last week, you've already heard how Chelsea and Pete's expertise, transparency, and heartfelt advice make them more than just performers. They're planners, curators, and pros at creating moments that matter. And you'd also now realise how that doesn't happen by accident. It takes a lot of experience, thought, and coordination too. So in this episode, part 2 of our chat, you'll hear some of their real wedding stories that prove just how powerful live music can be, like how they transformed a brief for old Italian vibes into an unforgettable evening. You'll also learn how to choose your wedding songs, everything from your aisle song to your first dance, and also hear Chelsea's personal approach to choosing her processional song and how she dealt with feeling overwhelmed on their wedding day. And stick around to the end because Peter and Chelsea offer their best tips and very candid advice for sourcing, booking, and working with musicians who do so much more than just sound good. Because experienced wedding musicians can also reduce your stress levels and weave a magic atmosphere for you and your guests. So let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Can you share an example maybe when live music really transformed the atmosphere of a wedding for you guys?
Go on.
Do you want to talk about the Italian wedding?
Look, there's lots of examples, and it often comes down to the couple deciding on certain vibes they want to create. One example I'm thinking of, they had this really specific idea of we want old Italian vibes.
But they couldn't quite put to words what they wanted. They just said old Italian, and we were like, we know. We can do that for you. Yeah. We like to create a custom experience.
We got them to actually make a playlist of it first to make sure we're on the same page. And then I was like, awesome, let's curate something a little unique. So we did a trio, and we had a clarinet player, double bass, and a smaller drum kit, not like a full thing, but more just like a snare and some cymbals. Yeah. So this really cool jazzy sound, as if you're, imagining you're walking through somewhere like Italy or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
I think it was a super cool vibe.
Yeah. And there are so many different options available. And another example that comes to mind is a wedding that we worked on recently where the couple, they wanted to have a lot of different elements as a part of their day. They had their ceremony at a church, but once their guests arrived to the private property for their reception, they had cocktail hour, and they really wanted to have a DJ with a live vocalist over top. So guests entered to that, which was really cool. Adds just a bit more of an interactive element to perhaps your typical background playlist. Then as guests moved down to the marquee for reception, they actually really wanted to have the bride's grandpa, I believe it was, who was a pianist, play for about half an hour, which I thought was really beautiful and special. And so he obviously didn't have to think about bringing his piano. We had that all set up for
Nice,
him.
very decent of you. That's good. I could see him an hour before wheeling this upright. Yeah, nice.
It was very sweet. So he played, and then they booked. Do you want to describe a little bit about the
what did they actually, what wording did they use? I can't remember, but we essentially put a cool jazz house band together, which was super cool.
Wow.
It made it feel like background vibes, but kind of like maybe like the type of music you'd hear in a cool upscale bar or restaurant or something like that.
Yeah. And that then transformed into the full party band.
Oh my God.
Which then later transformed into just the DJ and saxophonist. Yeah. So the day really progressed, and as the day progressed, the music kind of changed, which just added a lot of variety. But I think something that was really key to achieving that was the couple creating a playlist and describing the kind of atmospheres that they wanted to create so that we could customize something for them based off of that. I do think that music and live music particularly can add a really fun interactive element to your guests, and you might be able to throw in a few little surprises for them. And one thing that springs to mind when we talk about something that's a little bit more unexpected maybe is we had one of our couples enter their reception. They were announced by their MC into the reception, and we actually had one of our saxophonists lead them in. So walked in kind of in front of but to the side of them.
Yes.
Which just is a really fun party vibe. It gets everyone immediately hyped up and brings a just really fun interactive vibe. And then while they're cutting the cake, the saxophonist is, going to town on the dance floor. And it starts the reception on a real high. Everyone does it a little bit differently. But I think the key here is that we love to be able to take on board what you love most and build something that really speaks to, the kind of atmosphere that you want to create on the day.
It wasn't a straightforward, I want you to play this genre. I know exactly what that is. Great. We'll do it. I was almost like a musical translator in a way, because people sometimes use words in all professions, and I'm like, I'm not do they know what that means fully? And they probably don't, and that is so okay, by the way, because you're not meant to be experts in anything. That's why you hire experts. But I even when they told me some of what they want, I wasn't afraid to push back and say, actually, I think given everything else you're doing, how about we shuffle it around a bit? Let's put this here. I think I know you said these couple songs suit in this vibe. I don't think it does, but let's cover it in a later part or an earlier part. So it wasn't just us doing exactly what we're told. We have a lot of experience, and we're not afraid to tell you when we have some better ideas or something we think will change it.
That's part of what we do, and I know, Cam, we're kind of straying from the question a little bit here.
No, I think it's really important, guys, because it goes right back to, Chelsea, when you said at the start, when you book your musicians, how about trusting them?
Yeah, and I do think booking with an agency like ourselves, you might not book us specifically, you might book one of the team, but you get hands-on service and advice, and like Peter said, we will work with you. A lot of our couples come to us and they have ideas, but they're very open to our suggestions, which is great because we can work with you to create something that is really unique.
It seems like you have a thought, Camille. What have you got to say?
No, I was just thinking it's that extra level of service that you guys offer because, you've got the experience, but you also, you can maybe see a little bit deeper than a couple who are stretched very thin and also, don't have that background of musical experience. So I liked your metaphor, you're a musical translator. You're like, okay, you want to feel this way. Well, in my experience from hundreds of weddings, my experience as a musician, this is how you achieve that. And that's worth its weight in gold. That's why, as you said, if music is valuable to you, that's where you put your money. That's where you put your budget, and you trust those professional vendors who can give that to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've got one more,
go.
example of music transforming atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's the emotions it can bring. I've definitely seen people in tears, actually, after the Isle song, and it's from Chelsea's lovely voice, of course. But, it's just really powerful what it can do. beyond, say, the aisle song, we've played like certain tribute songs for maybe a family who's passed, and they do something to honor them, and having that music, which, can be associated with a memory, really just, it brings out emotion in people. So beyond the feeling of fun and creating energy, it can create emotion and reflection and that kind of thing as well. And not only that, you're creating new musical memories on your wedding day.
Yeah.
And when you hear certain songs that you chose, they're always now going to be tied to parts of your wedding, which I think is quite special.
Something that someone said to me when I was getting married, they were talking about choosing a perfume, like a wedding day scent, and, have it for your wedding day, and you'll always remember your wedding when you spray that perfume. Music is exactly the same. It's one of the five senses. And Peter, with what he just said, your aisle song, a lot of people have a really difficult time choosing their aisle song. Even I did. I'm a professional musician.
So now, hang on, Chelsea, before you go any further, everyone wants to know what that is. Can you share?
It was Time After Time, which is actually quite a popular choice. We had we haven't personally played it for an aisle song, which I think was helpful to my choosing.
We still haven't. Oh, no, we have once now. Yeah, only once.
But we had a friend play it live. So, of course, it became his own version. The way that I chose our aisle song was we put a few songs into a playlist and we just listened. I listened with my eyes closed and I just allowed myself to feel. And as soon as that song played, I've heard the song hundreds of times before, but in this context, when I imagined myself walking down the aisle, I just thought, that's the song. It's perfect. It didn't really matter what the lyrics said. It didn't matter whether, I'd heard it 1,000 times or I'd never heard it. It was a song that made me feel something in the moment. And now it's become a really special song. So again, we're kind of straying onto a different question, but if you're choosing your aisle song or any key songs for your day, it doesn't have to be a song that is already important or really special to you. Of course, if there is a song like that, that's amazing as well. But what you choose for your wedding is going to become special and is going to have memories tied to it forever.
Yeah, it's like a new neural pathway that you're making, which I really love because, of course, it's a new chapter for the couple getting married. So it's like, I love it. I love it. It's building on foundations. One question that just came to mind then, I know of you, Chelsea, and we've had light chats. We've never really gotten deep. I don't know if you're much of a crier. But on your wedding day, are you? Can I ask? Are you much of a crier?
I am a crier.
Okay, great. So am I, because I just cried when you talked about Time After Time, and now it's playing in my head. But I want to know: did you have any fears about crying when you walked down the aisle? And what did you do about that?
I don't think I would say I had any fears. I'm a pretty open person. And there wasn't anyone at our wedding that I wasn't really thinking about anyone else when it came time to walking down the aisle, but I didn't really feel nervous to be vulnerable and emotional. I think because I am a very sensitive person, a very deep thinker, and people who know me know that about me. So I think that was possibly to be expected. I do remember Peter and I didn't have a first look, so the first time that I saw him on our wedding day was when I was walking down the aisle. Okay. I do remember feeling extremely overwhelmed and just overcome with emotion. I describe it to people as a very out-of-body experience. Yes. You don't really know what's happening. You're just walking, hoping you'll get to the end.
I found that too. Like I remember during the ceremony, I could see myself like getting married. Yeah, out of body. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
I tried. Yep. Oh, I tried to take it all in, but at the end of the day, and someone gave me this advice of how to deal with the emotion on the day, was just to focus on the person at the end of the aisle, which was Peter. And as soon as you lock in with that person and okay, well, this is why I'm here, everything else just like melts away. To be honest, that's how I would describe it. I don't actually remember, and most people say this to us, I don't actually remember hearing my aisle song in the moment. You know, like I said, it's such an out-of-body experience. You're just walking.
I know I'm meant to be doing this, so I'll just make my legs move.
Yeah, some people who are walking down the aisle do say to us that they really make an effort to listen out for their aisle song. I know that they're probably not going to hear, so sometimes we'll play the aisle song again later in the day so that they get an opportunity to hear it.
That's such a great idea.
Yeah, which people quite like. Yeah, they've said, oh, you know, we didn't get to hear it in the moment, so it was really nice to hear it later.
By that, you know, Chelsea, you mean that obviously orally they could hear it. You were loud enough and everything, and everyone else heard it. But the overwhelming emotion means that you don't register it.
Correct. Yes. Oh, you can, I promise you can absolutely hear us.
It's audible, but you can't absorb it, I think.
Well, the emotion is so intense. Whether you've seen your partner before the ceremony or not, I think for anyone, I'm not really afraid of, you know, public speaking or being up in front of people or being vulnerable or emotional, like I said. But still, to me, the thought of walking down the aisle with all these people looking at me, it was just overwhelming. I wouldn't say I was scared, but I was very overwhelmed and I cried. There's the photos of me walking down the aisle. I look quite distraught, actually. I'm not a pretty crier. And Peter cried as well. Yeah, just go with it. Like, honestly, it's such a beautiful moment. And I understand that for some people it can be really overwhelming and scary. And I know that, I'm sure, Cam, you've had a lot of conversations with people from a celebrant's perspective about how to deal with that. And there's things that you can do, like doing a first look or like doing your vows privately. I know that that's what scares a lot of people, and that's okay. But in terms of the getting down the aisle and starting the ceremony, just go with it. From a coordination planner perspective, I always stand with if it's a bride, if it's a groom, whoever's walking down the aisle, I always stand with them and tell them when to walk so they don't have to think about a thing. They just go.
Left,
just
right,
focus on being upright and breathing.
Good. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it can be it's a really great one that you raised, Peter, about transforming the atmosphere. That is probably my favorite moment of the whole day. It's just that aisle moment, or whatever equivalent you choose to do. It's like the build up. We're finally here. This is a song that you have chosen that is special to you for one reason or another. And the fact that we get to play it live is such an honor. And I do think from like a logistical perspective as well, having your aisle song played live is just so great, because you don't need to worry about the song running out or you walking down at a really quiet moment of the song.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
Because that can be adjusted on the fly by professional musicians who can see it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. In our planning consultation, let's just say that you are doing your aisle walk traditionally. We ask how many people are walking down the aisle before you. Maybe you've got 4 wedding party and a flower girl and then yourself. We know to look out. So we get the cue from the celebrant to start the song. We know to look out for a certain number of people before you are next, and we build the song to its peak moment, which is often a chorus or maybe in some cases a bridge. And we build that so that you're walking down to that really peak moment of the song, which is always really emotional and special. And something that's also important that I think some people don't consider is once you get to the end of the aisle, you don't really just start the ceremony. You yourself as a celebrant, you'll probably give time for the couple to see each other for the first time, take a breath, take it all in, adjust the dress if we need to, blow your nose, whatever you need to do.
That's the thing. If they need to mop up, then
exactly. You often need a few moments. And so we'll keep the song playing through that time and then fade it out beautifully as the celebrant starts speaking. And I think that's really important. And it really adds to that moment. If you just have this beautiful emotional moment and then it stops suddenly, that can be quite jarring, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's an honor to be a part of that moment and my favorite part of the day, I would say.
I'm so glad you said that stuff because they're my beliefs, Chelsea, as well. I think if you're not feeling something in that moment, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And so you need to roll with it because the more you fight it, the worse it gets. And it's why we're there. So yeah, it's the have a chat with the makeup artist about the waterproof makeup, whatever it takes, whether there's a veil there, whether that helps you, all those little tips and tricks. But yeah, you roll with it. That's beautiful. I know it wasn't on the question list, but I really, really appreciate you opening up because I know it's something that couples really worry about, brides in particular, if they're walking down the aisle. Also, grooms, same-sex couples, all of those guys, anyone who has to make an arrival to some music to everyone looking at them. Did you know that most newlyweds spend up to 8 hours of their precious time working through changing their last name after they get married? This is where easy name change comes in. Their kits provide you with a sort of shopping list of businesses, companies and government departments where you simply pick which ones you need to notify. They then send you detailed instructions on how to go about the name change process because every business is different, and this saves you hours of calling around, waiting on hold, sending emails, waiting for a response, and then remembering to follow up when you don't hear back from them. Easy name change kits also provide ready-to-send forms, letters and emails, so you just attach your marriage certificate to them and you're done. Starting at $39, the value and time you get back is a no-brainer. For more help on changing your name after you get married, there is an excellent blog post on the Unbridely website, and I'll put a link in the show notes for you. Plus, Unbridely podcast listeners get a $6 discount on their name change kits by using the code Unbridely6. That's UNBRIDELY 6, the number 6, and this is valid until the end of 2025. Get your easy name change kit so you can move on to the fun parts of being grown-ups together, like holidays, getting a dog, building a house, herb gardens. Can I ask one more thing on the processional then? I've just had an email from one of my couples. She's planning her processional. She's got 3 bridesmaids ahead of her. She's walking, let's think, at the Manor up in Basket Range, for those who don't know Adelaide, and it's up in the Adelaide Hills. It's gorgeous. There's a little winding stone path that goes up to this little chapel that's outdoors. And yeah, it's 50, 70 metres. It's quite a walk. My bride has timed out, 25 seconds for bridesmaid 3, 28 seconds for bridesmaid number 2 because she's a bit shorter. Can you please explain to everyone coming down the aisle why that won't work?
It won't work. It won't work because people are nervous and people walk slower. They walk faster when they're feeling nervous or they're under pressure or whatever it might be. Whatever you practice, it's 150% going to go differently on the day.
And that's a mathematical certainty, 150%. Yes.
It will absolutely be different on the day. I think having a walkthrough is great and getting a feel of the song. When people do practice with their aisle song, I say it's more so just to get a feel of the beat and timing of the song, just so that you can get comfortable with how to walk. But I advise against timing it out to a specific lyric or a specific timestamp because, number one, it just doesn't happen that way on the day because you're nervous. And number two, you might not even be able to hear it exactly clearly because, like we said before, when you're nervous, you're not registering it. If you have a wedding planner or a coordinator or a venue coordinator, they will be there. They will tell you when to walk. And if you're having live musicians, you absolutely don't need to worry because the music, we can promise, will not run out before you reach the end. If you are having a recorded song, I would just recommend making sure it is long enough, not, you just getting to the end with a few seconds left. Like, you need ample time because it will probably take longer than you expect on the day. And you don't want people to feel like they have to rush down the aisle either.
Yes. If they look like they're running to a shoe sale, I don't feel like, again, it breaks the magic.
Exactly. Yeah. So I hate to say it, it won't work. We do invite our brides or grooms, whoever may be walking down the aisle, we do invite them to let us know if they have a particular point in the song that they really love and that they have always imagined walking down the aisle to. And let's say it's a bridge of the song. We will keep that in consideration. We will, okay, all the wedding parties down the end, let's transition into that bridge now and you can walk when you're ready. So we'll absolutely take that into consideration. But timing it out to a specific lyric is just too stressful for you. And you just want to be there and enjoy the moment as much as you can.
Oh, thank you, Chelsea. Thank you for saying that. I don't want to be the evil person who goes, no, it won't work. I don't want to be negative about it, but I feel like unless you're on a sound stage with a director, someone going action, and even cuts, like edits, it just doesn't work that way in real life.
Yeah, it makes it kind of like a production, I feel, or like a performance, which walking down the aisle, absolutely not a performance. That's what you don't want it to feel like. Yeah, I understand why people feel like they need to do it, but that's when I guess the experts can come in and explain why you don't need to worry.
Thank you for saying it. That's great. Thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea did say, let us know if you have even a certain moment. Honestly, the best thing is just you walk, we play.
Yeah.
And we actually are very in tune to what's happening too. When I'm playing it, I'm often like a little bit softer as the bridesmaids come out or, other wedding party. And I might just do a little pause, before you walk, all that kind of stuff. We're experts.
Yeah,
we know what to do.
We are curating the experience and invoking the emotion. You're just walking.
Yeah. You just focus on walking.
And Cam, if it's okay, I just want to say one other thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in fact, we see this quite frequently. People will choose 2 songs for the aisle walk. They'll have one for their wedding party and one for themselves. In some cases, that can work and is recommended, I suppose, if you're having a pre-recorded track and your first song is a little bit short, then having a second song is advised. Or let's say you're having 10 wedding party before you, then maybe having 2 songs is a good idea.
Thousands, sure.
Yeah. But in most cases, and especially if you're having it played live, I actually don't recommend it because, like Peter has said, we are building the song up to its peak. And so for us to kind of do all of that work in the first song and then have to cut it off, maybe even change key or whatever it might be to the second song, it kind of it is a bit abrupt. And I mean, we try to avoid it being too jarring or abrupt, of course, but it takes away that build work that we've done before you walk out. And also, if you're the only one walking down to one song, you don't get to hear the verse and the chorus and the build to that peak moment because we don't have that long. We've only got maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think if you're having live music, one song is absolutely fine. And of course, if you want to do 2, if you have 2 amazing songs that you want to play, we can absolutely make that work. But I think people often choose it because they think they need to. If you have live music, you don't need to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I've just got one last question, and I don't know what I'm going to get here, but what is one insider secret you wish that every couple knew before choosing their wedding musicians?
We try to have a bit of a think just about, I suppose maybe more so like a tip that we would give to people. And to be honest, we have touched on it a little bit already. Peter, I know is keen to share this one, so go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's before choosing the musicians, but it's a nice insider tip, I think, and it can apply if you are doing live music or whatever way you're doing music, and it's to instead of getting a month before and thinking we have to choose our idol song, we have to choose this song, what are we going to do? Like, as soon as you've had the thought, we're getting married, just start a playlist, and anytime you hear a song that you think that's just lovely, just put it in there. Don't get too hung up on the lyrics or if the artist is being cancelled or not, because that's going to rule out most artists, really. But yeah, and then once you get a bit closer, you can go almost refine and, just decide. So it's less of like thinking on the spot. And also I had that, like, this isn't music related, but I had that approach with our own personal vows, in that when I thought of something nice, just put it in my notes.
Yeah.
And then it was the week of our wedding, and really all I did was collate my notes and maybe cut out some things that I thought that would be a strange thing to say. So yeah, rather than trying to think of everything in the moment, just let it happen naturally. It's way less stressful that way.
Yeah. I love that. Preparing early.
I'm that kind of person, yeah.
But if you're not, I think it's really good advice as well to, just put away a little bit. I mean, it's good investing strategy, but just put away a little bit when you can, when you think of it, when it's front of mind. Even as a celebrant, I tell all of my couples to open an email to me, just go questions for August, and just put the bullet points in there. So then they're not constantly contacting me about little things, that they just send maybe 3 things at once. Or it might just be, for 6 months even. Maybe they don't need to contact me as much. They don't need as much, hand-holding or ideas or things like that. But, open up the Notes app.
I have thought of something that's maybe more of like a secret, if we will.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a secret,
we
but
won't
let's
tell
tip.
anyone, Chels.
Let's tip. More just to be maybe a little bit, I don't know if it's controversial, but just because, let's say you're out and about and you hear an amazing busker or you hear a beautiful voice somewhere, just because someone is amazingly talented as a musician does not mean that they're going to be the best equipped to perform at your wedding. Playing music at a wedding, there is so much more to consider than just rocking up and playing the music. And that's something that over the past 10 years, we've really tried to refine our service. We have been a part of hundreds of weddings. And I think you learn something new at every single wedding. And I think it is really important that the musician that you choose to have has had experience at weddings. There's a lot to consider, even down to having the right equipment and things like that. Often these musicians that you might hear out and about, they might not have any equipment. So these are just important things to consider. I would say maybe ask if they've done weddings before.
Yeah. It really is a different animal. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, it is not a pub gig. It is not busking, in the local mall. There is so much involved, let alone the musicality and, which songs you need to play and when, and just knowing the format of most weddings. There is a lot there. That is such a brilliant point, Chels. And I do hear that, because in everyday life, people appreciate certain music. They might go down to their local pub, they're having a dinner and they're going, that guy's got a great voice. And he might. No issue there whatsoever. But it's a very specific thing to, hire a musician for a wedding. That's so good.
Yeah, and going back to the timeline and how we work into that, I think this is important as well. We work so closely with your other vendors on the day. And if we've worked with your celebrant before, like, for example, I know when we work with UCAM, it's seamless. We don't need to worry. We know what we're doing. You know what you're doing. We know how each other works. It makes such a difference. So having someone that has that experience in weddings and has worked with lots of different vendors before is really great and does add to, I guess, the level of the service that we're able to provide on the day. It just makes it better and easier for everyone.
It's so good. As you guys both mentioned, you don't want to break the magic spell. Like, you can have the whole day feel like that when there's people who really understand. And I was on a podcast this week have you guys heard about, there was this bookstore in New York who had to move and they couldn't afford to move and the logistics were just mind-blowing. So they messaged all their customers and they formed a human chain between the old bookstore and the new bookstore in New York, right? And so everyone like literally passed the books down the street, right? And like I love that. I love the community in that, especially in New York. But what I took more away from that is the person who's to your left who hands you the book has to hand you the book right for you to hand the book on to the next person, and they've got to grip it right. And, it's just this passing from vendor to vendor throughout a wedding. Like that seamlessness is what helps to create that magic and that feeling and that entire atmosphere that I find it hard to think of a single other day in your life where everything is just working for you and with you and your favorite things and your favorite people. Yeah, I think it's worth something. That's very cool.
100%. Yeah.
So good, guys. Man, you've dug deep today. Thank you so much. If someone's lucky enough to be in Adelaide and getting married, or they're traveling to Adelaide, or were you saying you were happy to head over to the States at some point if someone adopts you?
If someone adopts us, State's a little more difficult.
Yeah. We don't want to, infringe on any working regulations. But if they were to adopt you as their children, then you'd just be their children playing at their wedding.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Very open to that.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
Yep. So we are from Him and Her Music. You can find us at Him and Her Music on Instagram or himandhermusic.com. And for my wedding planning, statusofficial.com.au or statusofficial.au on Instagram.
Beautiful. Love it, guys. Have a brilliant afternoon, and I hope to cross paths with you again really soon.
Thank you so much for having us,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Have a great night.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.